Welcome to Where Is My Mind, a podcast where we talk fascinating films and hope for lower egg prices. I'm a small vial of mystical fluid, Parker.
I'm a half-dead battery that's inside your string lights, Ryan.
My string lights are USB powered. I don't know what you're talking about.
Of course they are.
And today we're taking yet another deviation from what we like to say we normally do, although there's so much discrepancy in that I'm not sure if there's a solid definition of that. We are talking about the pseudo children's film, Riddle of Fire from, is it 2023 or is it 2024?
I think 3.
Okay. It's like fantasy, like more fantasy and mystical stuff
Yeah.
than the Goonies. And I'm kind of here for it.
It's so special to me. I know Vinegar Syndrome Pictures. This is one of their films, as well as Eight Eyes, that was in their production kind of line. And Weston Rizzoli, that guy, he knows the films of the 80s and 90s that hit like all the heartstrings. I think that is sort of where this film comes in. It's hard to categorize it. It has fantasy elements for sure.
This is just so comforting and I like the colors.
It's beautiful. He did it in 16 millimeter, and
He
I mean,
did.
it's not like he loves Powell and Pressburger, so that's
A
already like
lot.
basically speaking to some of us. And then Miyazaki and some of the Japanese new wave that you're much more familiar with than I am.
Sure,
So
buddy.
you can see elements of that in this film. It,
Yeah, like okay, whenever I sit down to watch a Miyazaki film, I sometimes it's background noise, I hate to say it, but sometimes like if I just sit down and I'm like I need something to clean the brain from whatever, I'll put on one of his movies and it usually works out really well and it's really nice and just comforting and I never like walk away from like a Studio Ghibli film feeling bad, if that makes sense. Even if it's something heavy like Princess Mononoke, which is basically environmentalism, the movie. It's just a very warm and cozy feeling that I like. This was no different than that in that regard.
I think one element that makes this really special is Weston is able to take elements of homage from other genres and do it in such a way that's respectful and
Yes.
palatable to the audience. So at no point do you feel that he's specifically pandering or kind of just obnoxiously injecting elements of the storyline or plot that makes it feel cheap. I think this is a really beautiful film that was made on a, I'm sure, a reasonable budget, but it doesn't look budget at all. I
It
think
doesn't
that's the
feel budget.
care that he puts into it.
We call that using your resources effectively.
He knows how to do it.
He does.
I can't wait for like the next film of his, because his short films specifically have a really strong fun art house element to them. They're really condensed, 8 to 10 minutes on average, and there's just a couple of them, and they take from a lot of different 70s art house films that bits and pieces show up in this film. But again, the shorts are a little bit darker in tone, where this could almost be an acceptable teen kids movie, but there's some profanity that
There's
obviously
some
is probably,
language. Yeah,
yeah,
that's why I say like a pseudo kids movie because it's like I think maybe like a middle schooler or like maybe an older elementary schooler if that elementary schooler has a ton of trauma. Um I think it could work out. Is there's a lot of fantasy elements that I think sometimes if you're like very rational and grounded and just un- you think that crap's just for children and like make believe, then this won't be for you. I hope no one's like that.
I mean, I aggressively said this is a superior film to the Goonies,
You did.
and this is a better film.
I haven't seen the Goonies in years, so I'm
It's
gonna
fine.
smile and nod.
People like it. It's it,
People
it
do.
has it has beautiful setting.
It's part of that like 80s like pop culture thing that we all kind of like when we think comfort movies from the 80s, we think Gremlins, we think Indiana Jones. just kind of off the top of my head, we think Poltergeist, like those large production
Yeah.
blockbusters.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with like it.
No,
I
no,
think I've said this before. There's nothing wrong with liking any of that. You know.
it's just a large hand to play with a lot of micro analysis of what's going to work and what isn't going to work. And I think
Yeah.
where Riddle of Fire excels is just on pure instinct decision making by Weston. It isn't checked out by testing it with audience user groups and so
Mm-mm.
forth to say like this works, this doesn't. He just sort of goes for it, and it's not in any way kind of a punk aesthetic or anything like that, but he does have creative control, and when one person's vision is really exceptional and entertaining and enjoyable, it's wonderful to jump into that with them. Throughout the film, within the first 5 minutes, it's going to be a different kind of ride. um, I think the first thing that struck me is one of the characters.
Oh, we have to talk about the children. This movie made me not. This movie made me. At first, I was like, "Oh God, kids are our main characters." Oh, and then the adults come in, and I'm like, "This isn't so bad."
I mean, these kids are like 10 to 13ish, so they're
True,
paintball
but
gun
like
little heathens.
true, so they're not like quite as bad, and they're likable enough. They're just doing like kid stuff. It's like they're not doing anything like weird. They're not little shits.
Well, the character of Jody, he had to be subtitled because
Okay,
Jody, you can't. It's difficult to understand what he's saying and
Weston
purposeful.
thought he was difficult to understand. That was his decision. I thought he was fine, and that he was just kind of. It's awkward kid acting of just not being able to enunciate. To be fair, I probably had that problem when I was like 10, so I don't get to
Yeah,
say too much.
I think it's even better because he's the most eloquent and
He really
thoughtful of the
is.
whole
He's
group.
he's the
So,
most likable.
despite his challenge, he actually has the most impactful things to say, and it makes him really endearing. He blurs words together, and then the cadence is a little bit different.
We're gonna have to put in the audio of that meme. It's like, have you ever had a dream? And it's just this kid fucking stumbling through the entire speech. It's really fun. You may recognize it. I'll have to. Okay, I'll send it to you, and like we'll have to put it in.
Have you ever had a dream that that you had you could you do you want you could do so you do you want him to do you so much you could do anything?
I mean, our most plain character is Hazel, and he's just kind of your, average little dude that's trying to go on like basically like woods adventures in a sense. So he was fine as an actor. Like, the, yeah, he's okay. But our main character is Alice, and
Alice is fine.
she's so cool.
She's cool. Cool older sister.
Has that, and I thought it was analogous with Psycho Gorman, where you have a just that kind of like strength and leadership, all the while navigating adult.
Responsibilities that you're thrown upon as a child because adults don't know how to function properly. That's this movie.
And they're on the search for One Speckled Egg, which is also a card game. There's 21 left in stock on Vinegar Syndrome's website.
Go buy it if you're gonna. You know what?
I want the
Just
game.
buy
I
it.
want the game that Weston used to base this movie off of. It's called Enchanted Forest. It's an actual board game, I guess. So
Oh,
I'm not familiar with it, but it exists. It is something
it's
that
not like a D&D sort of thing, is it?
no, I think it's kind of like Shoots and Ladders esque kind of
I'll be
vibe to it.
so honest. I don't know what it is about my life recently, but I have not been able to get away from D&D because like a bunch of my friends are into it. And I was like, that's fine. And then like I watched this, right? The podcast.
Yeah,
And like some of the dialogue, not the dialogue, but some of the captions and like the little title cards and whatnot very strongly give that vibe.
it
And
does.
you know what else happened recently? Dracula had a D&D themed episode where they had the contestants make like their give them like races and stuff like that. and their characters, and they had them stage like a fight for their floor show, and I was just like, I can't get away from it. I can't get away from it.
It came back really, really big the last 10
It
years because they
has.
simplified the game. So it used to be a game that took more involvement and it was a little bit overly
Oh
lengthy for
shit!
the prep
And
work. And
then,
now they've made it easy for
well, then
folks
what's
to.
okay? What's the fucking Way Bad Stone? Unsung covered Way Bad Stone recently for their podcast, and so I'm just like, oh my god, like with the LARPing and whatnot, and I'm just like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't get away from fantasy role play, and like I don't judge it. I'm just not interested. Like it's fine. I'm not mad at it.
Yeah.
I know tons of my friends are into it, and I'm just like, that's great. That's not me, because I'll just be so honest, as I was never into fantasy stuff as a kid, and that's kind of remained into adulthood. So that's just full disclosure. But I was like,
I had a small
slightly
window
taken
where I was
aback.
really into D&D, and it's like, it's bad when you're going to the specialty shops to look for like the 100-sided die, and
What
like
the
you
hell,
have a
dude?
huge amount of pewter figures and you're trying to get
Yeah,
the
that's
old
a
stuff
problem.
that's straight up lead from the 70s, trying to like purchase the rare stuff. It becomes collecting in a way. And then there's just the prep work of DMing and all the rest of it. It's just
God, yeah.
it's, I don't know, a
Dude,
little bit
being
of
a
a
DM
slug.
is, one of my friends is a DM for like a campaign, and I'm like, yeah, that's hard work, and
I can see
I
the
would
video
never.
games being fun, like in general. RPG video games, yeah, you can jump in, do whatever.
Yeah,
They're
but no
entertaining enough.
judgment to anyone who plays D&D.
No. It's not your thing.
It's not. That's all.
No.
I focus on film and gory, gross things
Mm-hmm.
and shocking people, because that's apparently what I'm good at.
One of like the D&D component, I suppose, that this film has is dealing with copy protection, but it's really their mom that won't give them a password to get into the new video game that they want to play. And that
I
is
grew up with
kind of,
that.
I was going to say, right? How relatable.
That was a personal attack. I hope people are aware that, like, responsible. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. I know a lot of certain people in positions of power, or people that are coming to power, are very much like, bring wholesome values back to the family and like get rid of all the evil, gross stuff. And I'm like, whatever. And I'm like, okay, if you're a responsible parent, if you're a normal parent, you're putting restrictions on stuff to make sure your kids aren't watching gross things. That's what I had to grow up with. And like, did the censorship maybe last too long? Yeah, for me anyways. Like, I had restrictions on my phone until I was like out of high school, which is stupid. But
Yeah, I have a hard time seeing where art causes the awful things that human beings do to
I
each other.
know.
I
But I'm
really
like,
don't see a disconnect.
yeah, but I'm
It's
like a restriction password on like an R-rated movie for like your 10-year-olds. I kind of understand that, depending on what it is. I kind of understand that. I don't know. I would not have.
someone's in agreement. That's a protest vote.
I would not let my, as horrible as this may be to our fan base, I would not let my 8-year-old watch Reanimator. I know.
That's
Shocking.
reasonable.
That's shocking. And I love that movie, To the Moon and Back. So this is the reason this is why I am the way I am.
Especially on the types of content. I think with like violence in general, I don't really see it
No.
as terribly corrupting.
If you get nightmares from it, so be it.
It's a rite of passage and you
Yeah.
frankly earned them. If you're watching
We all
Texas
had to
Chainsaw
see
Massacre
we
and
all
you're
had to see the Kevin Bacon Friday the 13th kill at age 11
yeah,
and see where that landed us in life.
I mean, an understanding of mortality is a good thing. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's true. That is very true.
And
Don't fear the
also
Reaper.
just also feeling strength through it. Like you survived. You made it out of the movie theater. Nobody got hurt.
Yeah, it's just sexual assault and
That's
death and
that's where
stuff like that. That I'm
that's
like, all
totally
right.
yeah, where I
I'm
draw
like,
the
all
line.
right.
Yeah.
Pull the fucking plug. We can't do this.
No.
This film has none of that though. This just like we said, the only thing that may keep it from like being like an actual children's film is the language.
And
Little
it's
kids.
sparse. Most of the time they call somebody like woodsy bastard. They just add
No,
bastard
they'll
onto
like
things.
go like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
And like, to be fair, to be totally and completely fair, like as a middle school, you're swearing all the time. outside of your parents' earshot. So I was like, this is just, I like saw that and I was like, this is just kids. They're not like on the streets of New York City, like cussing out people because they got their lunch money stolen. They're just
Yeah,
being children. I'm okay with that.
and they're obsessed with like a latest video game, and that's, you know, that's to an
That's
extent
normal.
kind of
That's
relatable.
normal.
You know, I think the violence when they shoot the clerk at the grocery store, when they shoot that man in the leg, and there's that cold-blooded look of Alice. I think really when I saw Alice's eyes in that, basically that's murder. Not not fully, but that's a dark look. And they both, all three of the
Yeah.
kids, stare this guy down who's like, you're all going down, you're busted.
It's a paintball gun.
And she, yeah,
Sorry, some of us like,
it could
okay.
have been worse,
To
I
be
guess.
fair, my brother got a pellet gun when he was like 10, so like a
Yeah.
pellet rifle. Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Dad.
I never had paintball guns in the woods because they were, frankly, they do get more expensive, but
Yeah.
like standard pellet guns and or like soft air is quite a it's
Yeah.
its own culture. Like I had no clue soft air, like on the East Coast, for instance,
Oh
really
yeah.
huge. Did not come to the West Coast as fast. Paintball was
Yeah.
sort of
No, when you
the
live in the woods, target practice with 20-year-old beer cans, that's a common thing. Just saying.
and woods porn. Finding that's always the,
I never had that experience as a kid, and I'm kind of thankful.
because you're just like, what hobo is out here collecting and putting this? This is very strange, but it's a
Sorry,
phenomenon.
I grew up in the woods, and if someone came onto our property, we usually shot them. Just kidding.
That was just the animals,
Yeah.
just the cute furry animals.
Just the random ass coyote that we have taxidermied because my dad thought it was a deer. This is a
Well,
true story.
we,
This is a true story, and I named it after a Monster High character because I was 9.
people make mistakes. Usually they dispose of them, but you know.
I remember. Okay, this is how the story goes.
Isn't your dog good at digging, like night
No,
digging? No,
no,
okay. I don't
no.
know.
What happened was like apparently like I think I was, like I said, I was 9, and I remember waking up and like hearing like oh, my dad's home. That doesn't happen often. And I go downstairs and like I just see in the kitchen there's a taxidermied coyote on the kitchen table because my dad had shot it and like thought it was like a deer or whatever because it's like bat it's when you go hunting it's like 4 in the morning, it's dark and whatever. But you know what he also had? Deer jerky. And that's what I was excited about.
I mean, that's delicious.
Not
The
the dead
problem,
animal.
the moral quandary of this, Parker, is simply put, like, much like the Nazis, you saw something terrible and you did nothing about it. And I think that's mortifying.
I think what woke me up was I heard my mom react to it, so because she was like, "What the hell is this?"
She's the voice of reason.
She usually is. To be fair, she usually is. Yeah, that coyote now like lives in my dad's house though, so it's still in good
It
condition.
moves on.
Yeah, I'm gonna like stand over my brother and be like, I want this. I want this.
It's
A
in the
dead thing.
will.
I
Yeah.
want it.
Well,
But
you
we'll
you
see.
do have dead things. You do possess
I do.
special things.
I have a lot of weird things.
You don't have a speckled egg to make a blueberry pie,
Unfortunately, not.
but you should, because
Blueberry
it would
pie
have
does sound
helped.
good.
Would have helped.
Blueberry pie does sound good.
It's a tasty thing.
That sounds good.
Yeah, blueberries are delicious.
Yes.
And the premise of this film, in a sense, is just that their mom is sick and they want to play the video game and she won't give up the password. So they are on the quest for a speckled egg. They do meet Petal, Hollyhock.
So sweet.
She's, yeah. Now, I say protagonist with the Hollyhocks because I think people that have the focus and dedication to create their own little cult scene is fantastic.
That's kind of amazing, but also what?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's mildly like disturbing because she's a fired she was fired from her job and now basically does taxidermy. Totally illegal taxidermy, mind you, just hunting the forest for.
No, literally, that's all they do.
It's very strange. It's like the Manson family, but a light version of the Manson family before it goes to people.
Yeah, that's what I was
It's
saying. Like, they're
just,
pretty unlikable. They're weirdos. The dad is the worst.
I like John Red Rye. I mean, he's like he's not technically anybody's dad. He's just like the lackey
He's not?
boyfriend. No, he's not anybody's father.
Okay, that makes
However,
me feel slightly better.
yeah, he's the other guy or whatever you
This
want to
man
call it.
that lives with him.
He looks like David Harbour a little bit, is what I kind of
Oh, yeah,
felt
he
like, but he's not
does.
likable that way. He's
No,
really
he's
kind of,
so much less likable than David Harbour.
but he just gets ordered around constantly. And I did like that Anna Freya, Anna Freya Hollyhock, she's the leader of the Hollyhock family, and she has she speaks the magic words and basically just makes anybody do anything she wants.
Pretty
Um,
much, that's what happens in this
and we have
family.
twins. And we have
The
twins.
They're okay. They're passive. They're creepy, but they're passive. The mom is Anna, awful. Terrible. Yeah.
And Weston, he's actually in this movie, which directors and writers self-casting is typically a mistake. It's
Jess
just,
Franco.
yeah, don't.
Sorry, had to bring it up. I've seen it. Feels like so many Jess Francos I've seen. He's in it, and he always gives himself some weird role. I'm just like, why are you here? Stop it.
He won't pay for the greasy guy. He is the greasy
He
guy.
is, and I always feel a little bit bad.
Yeah.
I always feel a little bit bad seeing Uncle Jess in one of his own movies.
Mm-hmm.
I always feel a little bit bad, but you know what? I watched Virgin Among the Living Dead fairly recently, and he plays like this. I don't even know what to call it. But you also see Howard Vernon's ass in that movie, so you know what?
Oh God.
Yeah, it's one of those. Banger movie though, incredible.
Well, Weston is really great in this because he casts himself in this sort of lackey type, kind of buffoon role, but he's very particular, and I think that probably,
He doesn't. He's not the worst adult. That's kind of nice.
yeah, he does feel like he's just sort of surviving, getting by with Anna Freya. The score is quality, but Ricky is in this film, not in the film, but her music is in the film, and it's perfect. It's absolutely just dead on. And they refer to this music as dungeon synth, is actually the genre, and it is its own thing and it has been for like 10 or 15 years. And so Weston knew about it and thought, well, I'm not going to have one person score my film, but I want people that have done independent music projects, use some of their music for this. But the Ricky stuff was really great. I think the big surprise is a 70s soft rock kind of funk song, Baby Come Back by Player.
Comes out of nowhere. Oh yeah, I do remember that pretty well.
It's as much awkward, but it's innocent.
It's the club scene, right?
Yeah.
I'm using that term loosely. Yeah, that comes out of nowhere. There's carpet.
The kids are made to perform and like do a dance in order to get the speckled egg.
Weird. It's just children dancing. It's just it's like Weston was behind the camera and was just like told these 4 kids dance.
Yeah. And we've all done that when we're of a certain age. It's just like, record me and my buddy doing some stupid song, and it comes across as endearing.
I just remember I was like kind of in the weeds of like this panel I'm working on, and I like looked up and I saw that. I was like, I don't know why I'm here.
Well, they have like the little aquatic guy. I don't know what to call him, like a merman he's basically running security. There's like a child running security for the operation. And you feel like the gas station attendant, who also doubles as a drug dealer.
Fun. Yeah.
Effectively. I mean, and or buyer. I mean, there's no inference fully that he just looks skeevy.
He looks like that guy.
And yeah. But yeah, I mean,
John Red Rye, is that his name?
Yeah.
He reminded me of my dad, and I'm kind of not okay with that.
He's actually really sweet when Hazel decides to drink all the booze and eat all the dinner at their campsite, and he's just a hot mess of drunk.
God, that was funny. That was my favorite scene, because I was like, that was like where I was like, okay, good. So this movie is gonna tell me kids are little shits, just to a certain extent, because this kid just drank all this rum, and like somehow has a better alcohol tolerance than me because he's not vomiting the whole bottle up.
I mean, he
He's
does
like,
vomit a fair amount, but you know.
he doesn't. I don't. Whatever. You know what? It's fine. And I was just like, yeah, John Redright reminded me of my dad in so many ways, and I was like, I don't think that's a good thing. Is this just gonna be me talking about like my parents? Is this all this episode's gonna be?
Basically, you just were recently in the forest not all that long ago.
That's true. Yeah, I have
Running
to go
around.
out there. I have to go out there. I have to go out there and be like, hey, the college called. They want your money. Give me $2,000.
You can give them 3 gummy worms, and that will be payment. That'll be
Here's
how
your
you resolve this.
return for giving me the entirety of the college fund is just some gummy worms.
The other part of this movie that I thought would probably amuse you the most, but I don't know if it did, so I'll ask,
Just go
is
ahead.
Celia. When they go to Celia's house to get the recipe for the blueberry pie, and she's got a fever and she needs cold objects, and they're basically talking about like, well, we'll get spearmint gum. That's cold because she wants something colder than ice or colder than cold. So spearmint gum while you're inhaling it, and then they buy that. Jody infers this creepy doll, and he's like, that doll is chilling.
I caught that.
That was the best.
And when the kids, they find out that's what they bought, and they're like, you actually bought that?
Yep. And she's just like, well, that is
Hazel,
kind of a cool doll.
Whatever this bitch is, fuck her.
Celia.
Hate her. Whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Not Hazel. Hazel's wonderful. I don't know.
Yeah, Celia is kind of like the...
Fuck her.
Yeah, she's a lot of Karen in a crone status, sort of a bad...
This
just
is
in a bad
like
way.
what this like... When people talk about like their customer service stories, this is the woman they talk about. When it's like, yeah, this person like came up to the register, told me to split their check, and then told me how bad the service was after they'd eaten, and I just have to stand there like, do you want me to get a manager, or like what do you want?
Sometimes it's the slow revenge, like at a Joanne Fabric, and there's the last of an object, and the person asks you if you're going to buy that, and then I say yes I am, and I take the object so that they can't buy it, but then I just go put it somewhere else 4 aisles later. Is it petty?
Yes, so petty.
Is it worth it?
That is literally so petty.
Yeah, it kind of is.
God, yeah, no. Working retail and restaurant. Unfortunate.
I mean, at least you're not having to sell turquoise and animal skins, so that is a bonus.
Oh, I think we'd go into financial ruin if we did. No, I don't think we would.
This film involves Kate Bush.
Yes.
Who I love very much.
Amazing.
When they do a binocular sequence, as they look through, the screen is titled Cloudbuster, and it's copyrighted as Babushka, which is referencing possibly the best Kate Bush song ever, which is Cloudbusting.
Objectively.
Deep the fact that Weston would include Kate Bush related anything into his film is sort of these little nods, and I'm sure there's plenty of other ones in this that are just these small touches, and they make a huge difference because you just feel a certain validation of he's one of us.
He's nostalgia just like the rest of us.
Yeah.
That's all this is. That's all this movie is, just nostalgia.
A quote towards the end is, what do you call someone who's both cursed and blessed? A rich person?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
that's
there's little bits of
I want you to report back to me in about 4 years and tell me how that goes, buddy.
Italian citizenship for 200. Is that on the list?
I'm just gonna go ahead and go scream at my cousin again to respond to my Discord messages about potentially moving to Amsterdam with him.
Ah, there you have it.
You know, it can work out. You know, they're a bit friendlier to gay people there.
Work visa.
Yes. It's horrible. This is going really well for a movie that I slept through.
You did fine.
I'm doing fine.
I mean,
I paid attention just enough.
Just enough. Yeah.
Just enough to be like, oh yeah, I can see that. I remember that.
This is random, but in Weston's short film Anaxia, it's called A Tale from the Book of Mystic Blades. There's this guy named Lord Cabirio who looks like Patrick McGee, and I'll tell you what, for a 6-minute short film, I was impressed.
Not Patrick McGee.
I think
God,
he
not
was the star of one of our most successful podcasts yet.
Ugh.
The numbers, the math doesn't lie.
It doesn't, unfortunately not. Do you think Patrick McGee will should we do another Patrick McGee movie instead of the movie we're doing next week in hopes to boost our ratings? Because Patrick McGee is just so goddamn good in
I
Dr. Jekyll
yeah,
with
it's
incest.
possible. I mean, in A Clockwork Orange, I think is really where most of us have just
Yeah.
first saw his acting abilities.
God, yeah.
It's
God,
possible, but he did so many films. It's like picking Howard Vernon. You're like, where do
true.
you begin? Guys like
Yeah.
Gordon Mitchell, 200 films in. Yeah,
Okay, you're like, I need help. Where do I begin? Like, what do I pick? Where do I
yeah,
start?
it's tough.
It's so bad, but you know what,
It's worthwhile.
Patrick McGee, pretty magnetizing in everything I've seen. So you know
Yeah,
what? Not complaining.
no,
Yeah. Wonder what would have happened if Patrick McGee was in Riddle of Fire. It'd probably be some. I'm surprised there wasn't like a crotchety old man in this.
yeah. That's
There's not
pretty
that archetype.
underrepresented, actually. I mean, it's a small cast all in all. There's
It is. I was like expecting like a crazy Ralph sort of character, being like, "Oh, those damn kids! Like you're making a mistake, blah blah blah," that sort of thing.
I mean, they do. Anna
And
Freya
not just
definitely has the like, I'm surrounded by idiots.
yeah, but it's not like the effect of oh those stupid children. You know, they don't know what they're doing. It's just more like annoyance.
Yeah,
So
like crotchety and curmudgeonry isn't
yeah,
really so
that's not
much
really
in.
here. It's just
Uh-uh.
bad parenting.
And for
Just
anybody listening, like this is still available from Vinegar Syndrome. It was sold out for a while
thank
at some
God.
point, but
It's
it's
amazing.
available. Also happens at the moment to be on YouTube for the last 5 months,
Someone has
and
uploaded it on YouTube.
yeah, I think renting it is really, if you're not full on to just blind buy this film, rent it. It's on YouTube for rental, and I rented it like 3 times over the summer. And there are few films within a 2 week period that I have ever re-rented just because I needed to see more and all the detail of this. So it's really worthwhile. I think it's like $3 or $4. It's not expensive to rent. So please do that as opposed to the grubby YouTube kind of bullshit upload, because that's not right. So yeah, totally
Don't
worth a
sail the
rent.
high seas for this one.
It's not. No, no, no. Weston needs to recoup a little bit. And
Support
this
support indie filmmakers.
it did well. Like as far as hitting the indie circuit of small art house theaters, yeah, they cleaned up. I think they quadrupled their investment. So that's really good. That does mean that there's probably more in the works from
I hope so. This is
Mr.
fun to watch.
Mr.
This is a
Rizzoli.
fun. This is definitely a very fun watch.
And I don't think with his short films into this that he has any interest in just remaking the same
Yeah.
film in any way. So from interviews, it sounds like he's going towards something kind of like witchy related. Yeah, the guy's just a sponge for cinema and is able to somehow translate that where most of us, we can watch plenty and relate or enjoy, appreciate, but we don't turn it into anything creative. Literally, we are the passive observers.
That's literally what we're doing right now is we're like, look at this thing.
Yeah, it's voyeuristic in its most, specific way. Yeah, I don't know what these kids are going to do beyond this. If they may have roles with him in some capacity, but I don't think so. I think this is a tight
We'll see.
project.
It could be like a mm,
Just don't Stranger Things it. If you Stranger Things it,
ah,
I think universally a lot of us really loved a couple seasons, fine, but
yeah, a
again,
couple seasons. I've
end
only
end on a good note. End at the high. Don't.
I know a lot of people because Stranger Things came out when I was in middle school. Don't do the math. And I remember like kind of getting into it because that was when I was first getting into horror. But I think like around like the second season, I just kind of like because it's just my commitment to series has never been like very good. So I got like to like see like midway through season 2, and I just stopped watching because I was just like, I got better things to do.
Yeah, I never finished season 2. It just
Yeah, I was like, this is okay. And like I know it has a huge fan base and they're hopefully ending it soon. Like what, next year? I'm glad it's had a success and it's brought, attention to that era of horror and pop culture, and I think it's cool, but I'm also tired and I really want to get away from
Yeah.
hearing fandom stuff about it because I
It
hate
just
it.
becomes enough, you know.
Yeah, it's like this is enough, but
For anybody that is enjoyed Riddle of Fire or that is going to watch this film, if you're looking for a much stronger, um, more biting experience, I really recommend Gummo.
oh
The
yeah.
Criterion of all people,
Oh
okay, actually
yeah.
put out. Gummo is that's another
God,
super
that
close to the
fucking
heart. I mean, the soundtrack, the music that was chosen for it, the subject matter is very
that's
uh
very different though.
challenging. I mean, it does involve kind of, two kids on BMX bikes adventuring through life, but life is not good. It is
Life
really tough.
fucking sucks.
Yeah. Xenia, Ohio. I don't know that it's an actual place, but stay out of Ohio. You don't have any business there.
Well, that's where JD Vance is from, so I would stay out of there anyways.
Again, yeah. Just I that you drive around. You can drive around. Pick a different
Oh
state.
yeah. Oh, it's after. I was like, isn't this after like a tornado? Like I have,
Hmm.
like I know about that stuff.
Yeah, Harmony Korine. It's a not for everyone by any means, but if you do enjoy Riddle of Fire, Gummo is a very natural, darker selection. I would recommend. I mean, it's if you're listening to this, you're already not impressionable, and there's a dark part of your soul that's probably still intact.
What are your picks for this episode?
Okay, my first pick was a short film called Brando from 2014 by Giselle Vienne. It's a 9-minute short film that has elements of David Lynch in it, and the score is by Scott Walker and a group called Sun that does fairly prominent within like drone metal and extremely heavy tones.
Hmm.
And the unique part of this is that there's a small cameo by Catherine Rob Grier, who is the wife of Ellen Robbe-Grier.
Oh,
So it has this like French pedigree in a sense by way of his wife, who's an actor. It's a really disturbing 9 minutes where the music is so intense and visually it's quite beautiful, but there's this really strong disconnect, and so it feels as if it's would easily fit within various David Lynch films. Nothing actually like violent happens, but it's kind of spine tingling unease that I was impressed by. So Brando, it's on YouTube. Not sure why they called it that as a title, but
I was gonna say, I
it's
was like, you didn't just pick a Marlon Brando short film,
no,
did you?
no. And it's just sort of like a partial walk through an exterior of a house. I didn't think that a small walk and then one person showing up in a car and walking towards a camera could be so frightening, but this is it. Like this is good stuff. You
I
watch.
understand this feeling completely when it's like so well, everything is so well layered and like well done that it's like just simple things are
Yep,
horrifying.
it is. It very much can be. So my second choice was a Italian film by Michele Lupo from 1968, and it's called Seven Times Seven. And this is a really strangely underseen, basically a prison gang escape type film. So it's not overly complex in what it's trying to do, but the cast of this film has actors that I think a lot of our listeners would certainly be familiar with or may have not seen. So the big draw for me on this was that Lionel Stander is in this film, as well Erica Blanc and Terry Thomas, who's quite the comedian, and Adolfo Celli. Lastly, is Ray Lovelock. So it has this huge cast of talented Italian genre actors from the 60s and 70s, but it's not a good movie. So that's the fun part. Is like this is just a throwaway, fun, lighthearted goof off session, basically.
You're just like, I'm here to have fun.
It is. It's that. It really is worth. If you just want a fun time with actors who you really like in a film you have not seen, this has like 5 or 6 of them that are worth your time. So the last film that I picked, our friend Matt and I watched called The Beekeeper by David Ayer, and this is a Jason Statham movie. Who, again, I can't even believe I'm saying I'm a convert to his
Did you
level
watch
of
him in the Meg and you were like, I need to see more?
you know that is a that is a forgettable experience. It's a under delivering. If you need to see Jason Statham soaked all the time, yeah, fine, go for it. But
Oh,
I have no interest, like zero.
oh my god. Well, you put yourself through
So
that, so.
yeah, The Beekeeper, however, is the it has Felicia Rashad from the Cosby Show, the mom from the Cosby Show, and she gets
Oh, bless her
scammed.
heart.
Yeah, so she gets scammed by like these kind of crypto bastards and kills herself.
Okay,
And yeah, right off the
okay,
bat,
cut.
right? So that happens, and Jason Statham, he is around as a neighbor effectively, and he goes on a revenge tear to find out who these folks are. And yeah, he has a certain set of rules, naturally, morals and ethics for how he's going to facilitate all that. But yeah, it's just an absolute pleasurable, violent experience. And his lines are always fun. It's a one that surprised me that I would enjoy as much as I did. I came away from it fist in the air, feeling good about humanity. That good people find the scammers, good people do win, and make the bastards pay. So yeah, that was those are my three
That's
picks. How did
interesting. Okay, yeah,
yeah.
I like saw y'all were watching that. I was like, I don't know. I was like, that sounds interesting. You know, it's an interesting title. I guess I'll have
Feel
to
good
check it.
favorite. I mean, really, yeah, you
Okay,
will feel better about yourself and humanity.
you're
Um,
yeah. I'll feel better. I'll feel better.
so bad. Speaking of which, I had to edit out our entire. You know how like at the end of our podcast we do like
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
find
I did
Parker
notice
at.
that.
I had to take that whole thing out because you said because this is the funniest thing, and I didn't tell you this. I had to
I
take
did
it.
notice you cut it out, and I was like, I'm
I
not gonna
did.
ask.
And I had to cut it out because you said, and you can follow Ryan at Ryan BM duh.
Did I?
And it's hysterical, but I'm so like,
That
like
was
I'm very sensitive, and
yeah.
I would never want to hurt your feelings in that. Like, well, one, because you can't just let that go. Number two, even pointing it out to you, I would feel like weird. Um, but anyway, yeah, I
I
had to.
didn't. Yeah, you're good.
So we have our word slipperies because I sit there and I'm going like Ryan BM duh. And it was so funny that I
I'll have
almost
to check
kept
my
it.
file. I'll have to like go back on the files I
You'll
have and
yeah,
listen for that.
go to it. It's on the last episode, and I felt so. I didn't mention it any mostly because
No, you didn't have to. It's okay. I was
uh,
like, oh, you didn't put it. You didn't
yeah,
put the social
yeah.
media stuff. That's
You know
interesting.
what and I've done before, like when we weren't doing crosstalk editing, is that I put the I just used one from an older episode. So like
Smart.
where because it's like, well, those are all it's the same information. And so
Yeah.
long as it sounds close enough to the way
Yeah. No,
we
I
do
understand that.
stuff.
So
But
okay.
yeah, the Ryan BM duh, I'll never live it down. I was just like,
That's stupid.
yeah,
Okay.
it happens. What did I just say? I flubbed some word.
Bettle.
Bettle. There you
Bettle
go.
instead of better.
It's a secret. It's a magic word used in Riddle of Fire.
It does. It sounds like that. Not too far off.
No.
Okay. I need to talk about my picks.
What did you choose? What are your picks for this week?
The movie I had a mental breakdown to on voice chat with a bunch of my friends because I had it playing in the background and I was like, I'm losing it. I'm losing it. I've lost it. Probably the one of the grossest video nasties out there. Gestapo's Last Orgy from 1977.
That's a Sam Deegan favorite. That
It is.
commentary is absolutely rewarding. That it's a really tough film. That is of the
God,
genre.
what
It
the fuck?
Some films are made with love. This one,
No. No. Every single moment. I was like, what is why? It is so disgusting. I love it. It's just depravity when trying to revisit this old Holocaust camp because of course you are. There's so many little things No, they're not. None of them are little. This movie's not subtle. Kind of tells you right on the title. I guess there's an orgy, but it's not really the point. It's just rich people being depraved and horrible, uh, and liking to torture poor people and people they see as lesser to them.
So modern day.
Yeah, I thought it was appropriate. It was pretty grossed out. Admittedly, there were just some things I was like, no, that's wrong. That's incorrect.
I watched it twice without Sam's commentary.
Oh, you poor
And
soul.
when I did listen with her commentary, it made the experience much easier to understand and it truly have explained, because there were just things that I was missing, just being ignorant to the history of the film.
Well, that's just Sam. Well, that's just
It is.
Sam.
It's just a credit to her talent. And I don't know. I would like to go back and probably watch it once more. At 3, I'm feeling pretty okay because of the genre. The Night Porter and The Damned are probably kind of, yeah, they're a little more my cup of tea.
Salon Kitty. Perfect.
Salon
Amazing
Kitty,
movie.
yeah,
Amazing movie. Similar things going on, but amazing.
yeah. Tinto Brass,
The good
he,
Tinto Brass movie.
yeah, yep. It's
I
not
would rather watch
fully my
Salon
thing.
Kitty 1,000 times than watch Caligula one more time.
Yeah, it's not for
I think
everybody.
that's and I say that wanting
Yeah,
to see the ultimate cut that just got released. I say
yeah,
that
yeah. Heather Drain's on the commentary, so
she is.
I'm gonna want. I will for that for her.
Yeah, for Heather
Absolutely.
Drain,
But
who's amazing. You've seen it, you know what's in it.
you know what's up.
You know what's
Yeah,
going on.
yeah. I always feel like I should be watching Satyricon by Fellini instead of Caligula, because it does have challenging moments, but
There's not 5 orgies. I don't think that's an exaggeration.
yeah, there's only so many. Okay, okay, those sorts of
Get away from the
responses.
camera. Get
Yeah,
away from the camera. Like, we don't need that. This is not good. This is not great. It's so repetitive after 2 hours.
but a theater experience at a 3-hour mark with
Oh
all
yeah.
of the
Oh, I would pay money. Oh, I would pay good money for
uncut, like,
that. Yeah, Gestapo's Last Orgy. Watch it if you want to vomit. It's a good time. It's a good time. Your friends will watch you die inside. That's the experience I had, and it was. I'm the worst kind of masochist in that regard. So, my next pick is something I watched while doing laundry because I noticed I had it on disc and was like, you know what? This will be a good, just kind of nice thing to just zone out to. It is Jodorowsky's Santa Sangre.
beautiful film.
Did you see where I watched that? Yeah, I watched it and I liked it a lot.
Isn't it
Not as much as,
amazing?
yeah, not as much as The Holy Mountain. I know people are like Santa Sangre is like more coherent than The Holy Mountain. Some part of me wants to disagree with that. It feels like it has more money. And like it's later, it's about, over 10 years later. I still like it a lot.
It's
I still
really
think it's
good.
amazing and like has a lot of great things to say and will take many viewings to wrap my head around it completely. But just the understand some of the matriarchal relations in Santa Sangre are just very interesting. And of course, you can't have a Jodorowsky without some weird religion stuff going on
Hmm.
that I really enjoyed. I don't think there's any animal cruelty in it, and that's kind of nice. I don't remember there being any animal cruelty.
Yeah,
Oh no, there's the elephant.
he's a controversial character,
I take
and
that
this
back.
is
There's
only
the
just like
elephant.
the last number of years that because of statements that he's said that
Some
could be
things, yeah,
could
some
be,
really
if true,
problematic stuff.
pretty awful. Uh,
Pretty problematic.
and it does tie to film sequences, but I don't know as to the validity of any of it. I have no idea.
It's
So
just, yeah, if it's like not many people have conferred, probably because they don't want to.
yeah,
But yeah, he's super controversial. But I mean,
there's
doesn't
only one of him, and
doesn't
truly
take
nobody
away.
makes films the way he did in his time.
Yeah,
The later works are worth a spin, but yeah,
it doesn't take away like the beautifulness of his output and how good it is. It doesn't take away from that.
I always like to think that he was
It's
banned
kind of
from
sad.
Mexico for a period of time, like the entire country just said no.
Probably.
And I'm sure that could possibly just be some fun rumor milling. But
Yeah.
any artist that's that dangerous by way of what they're portraying um, as to social critique or societal norms or things of that nature,
Catholicism.
yeah, he works through a lot of stuff. He's got a lot to get out.
Ah, it's
Yeah,
amazing, and I love it. This is the bread and butter I'm here for.
yeah.
But yeah, I watched the Severin release of it. Looks super nice. I'm kind of looking forward to looking into the special features on that one. Yeah, we stand Severin at this. We stand Severin here. They're releasing their Black Friday stuff, and I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah, they're the label that keeps putting out over and over and over again the releases that I crave.
Yeah, of course we say that on like our Vinegar Syndrome episode.
It's a bit ironic.
A little ironic, but
the diff-
we love Vinegar Syndrome too. My final pick is something I showed a bunch of my friends the other day because I thought it would be funny. It's Psychopathics from what is it, 95.
How did that go over? When I saw that, and I thought, it's not to say you're showing it to people that have not.
They know.
They know because
They
it's
know
already
with
your
me.
choice.
It's
So
like crazy.
yeah,
It somehow it was interesting. None of them gave it a very none of them like loved it, but I also have to point out like, hey, with shot on video stuff, a lot of times it's just people wanted to make a movie and this is what they had. And honestly, there had to have been something with this film that like when they were discussing it, because they have fucking like they have some of the craziest cameos, right?
it does.
It has some insane cameos. It has a Fulci cameo, has a D'Amato cameo, it has a Bergenzelli cameo, just several things. David Warbeck's in it for a little bit. Like, it's crazy. And it's under an hour. It's disgusting. It's got some pretty weird shit. It has a very long Anthropophagus parody that involves farts. Probably is more entertaining than Anthropophagus, to be fair, but still very interesting, very strange. I think most of our viewers, or not our viewers, our listeners who are familiar with shot on video, they probably have heard of this. And if you have not, you need to get on that right now. It's full things on YouTube. You have no excuse.
It's a strange title. I feel like if it was retitled, that it would be a little bit more well accepted. I think it hurts the.
Yeah, it's like it is a weird title, especially because it's like it's just basically a giant homage to Italian horror.
Mhm.
I'm okay with it.
That's
I'm
good
not.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's not what you expect.
Psychopathics, it still has a pretty good rating among our folks, our
Yes, for
friends.
sure.
So it has to
It's just
melt some minds, and you probably
you
did
have to
that.
traumatize people every once in a while to get them to listen. You know, those are my picks.
What's our next film that we're going to cover?
We're
What's
taking
it
a
going to be?
hard right turn.
Oh no. I mean, we did family film friendly with Riddle of Fire effectively.
Finally.
So wholesomeness isn't dead. Hope isn't
Wholesomeness is
lost.
not dead. We urge everyone in this community to occasionally watch something uplifting and nice to improve your worldview. We're doing Beyond the Darkness next episode.
Yes, yes,
We're
yes.
finally doing it.
It's a love story. It's a beautiful, beautiful
Shut the
love
fuck up.
story.
It's necrophilia,
That's
cannibalism,
not a good love story.
acid bath.
That is a felony in most states. I'm not sure about yours, but
Oh, shut up. Acid bath, mommy issues, disgusting, gross murder, autopsy, taxidermy,
cuddling.
bad cuddling, very, very bad cuddling, and just overall depravity that I know it was shown at Horrorthon recently, which kind of surprised me, but in the Horrorthon program, they put like because they'll give out like guessing. Well, they'll give out like little cards for like the attendees to guess, and like you get like a prize if you guess so many of them or whatever. I can't remember, but like I remember on the notes for this year, when they like listed out this film, they put like a disclaimer and they were like, seriously, this one's gross. This is hard for us to stomach. I was so innocent. I put this on, and just because you told me, I think I was doing something for D'Amato, and you just you were like, watch this. You were like, watch this next, and I was like, okay, if he's recommending this, I mean, this can't be that bad. And I put it on. My roommate's here, and I just looked at her, and I just like stared at her, and I was like, I'm gonna want you to face the other way for like 90 minutes. Once I saw where it was going, so it is that movie.
It's beautiful. As far as, I mean, yeah, there is a lot of Joe D'Amato, so that's the kind of Jess Franco-ish output of a lot of films. But Beyond the Darkness it's so special.
Yes, it is beautiful and amazing, and I'm excited to talk about it and talk about Joe D'Amato a little bit, because he's a director I have unfortunately been getting into as of late.
Oh,
It's a blessing and a curse.
he worked within so many different genres within his career that I think that's the fun part, is that you do get a feeling of his versatility, and like anything, some are better than others, but Beyond the Darkness, yeah,
it's the outlier in his filmography, I think.
It's almost too well done for his average film, and I think that's just to say that it's the higher top 5 by far,
easy
within his horror genre films. So.
Easily. That's our next episode. We have a Discord. It's fun. It's cool. We watch movies and talk about things there, and we're friendly, and you can DM us for an invite. We also have a blog spot. Recently, we were planning to do an episode for this, but then life happened, and we were like, fuck it, we can't do it in time. We recently put out a couple articles for Horror Gives Back, which is a challenge that our friends over at Unsung Horrors run. It's a charity challenge. Donate $1 for every horror film you watch in October. Seeing it is now mid-November. I was like, I don't want to do an episode on this. So we released a couple articles talking about what we watched for that. It was a good time all in all, I think.
Yeah, 62 picks that we had in small descriptors of such. Mine are very concise, which is the opposite of my voice. Yours are very detailed. And for anybody, there's those articles, you're going to discover really neat stuff. So it's highly unlikely that there are, that you have seen every film on there, because that's part of the quest, is to watch films we haven't seen before. So
always, it's like a Genesploitation. It's get out of your comfort zone.
Yep, absolutely.
You can follow the podcast on Instagram at Where Is My Mind Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram and Letterboxd at Park_BE. You can follow Ryan on Instagram and Letterboxd at Ryan_BMD. Next episode is Beyond the Darkness. That should be a fun time, I think.
We'll have a blast.
Oh yeah, yeah. We're gonna make that'll be
hopefully
fun
no
episode.
bathtub scenes. I don't recall.
Nope, no bathtubs.
Okay,
no bathtubs.
At least that takes that off the
trope list. So until next time, guys, thank you for listening.